From the time he was only 4 years old, David Blaine has loved to perform his magic to anyone who would watch. Now at 24, the Brooklyn native's audiences have included some of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry: Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, and Robert De Niro, just to name a few. But it was after performing for Ted Harbert, the former chief of entertainment for ABC, that led to a $1 million primetime special that aired earlier this week. I am pleased to have on this broadcast this evening David Blaine. Welcome.
Thank you.
This was an ABC special that aired, on a 1 hour special that aired, what, Monday night?
Yeah, Monday night at 8 p.m.
And it came about how?
I've actually been planning it for years. Yeah.
They finally noticed.
Yeah, well, it was a concept that I had, and I just thought magic should be shown with people. You know, the reaction of the people is just as amazing as the magic.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just ran around with the camera around New York and filmed people of all different cultures, races, backgrounds, religions, and edited together with 2 VCRs, a little 15-minute tape.
Yeah, and then somebody at ABC, Ted Harbert, or whoever.
Oh, I showed it to everybody, showed it to my agents, and they loved it. They were like, oh my God, it worked, it got to me. So eventually we were able to.
All right. I want to pick up mainly what we want to see is some of the things you do. You call it, it's magic, is it sleight of hand, is it what?
I don't even know. I just do
it's
it
just
to
what you
entertain,
do.
yeah.
How did you get started?
I was about 4 years old, and my mom got me some silly trick that, I mean, it wasn't silly, but it was a little goofy thing where you stick a pencil through a card and then the hole is gone. And I used to just do it to adults everywhere. I'd walk up to any adult that would watch, and I'd say, look, and I'd do it, and they'd be fooled, and I'd be like this little kid that was amazing adult.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so then what happened? How did you go from there to this amazing little kid to somebody who has a 1 hour primetime special on ABC?
Well, doing it as a little kid, it's still sort of one level. But when I was about 18, I started to watch all these magicians doing these amazing things. Yeah. And I would wonder, I'd say, those things are amazing, but the people don't believe them. They're always filled with silly patter, like, well, if I have this and I have this. So I started to wonder, how could you make those effects believable? And how could you make somebody believe a card leaves his hand? And so I tried to present magic that way, and I started to figure it out.
Is there one great teacher?
No, I didn't. I mean, I just studied a lot of influences. Yeah. And when Orson Welles did a magic trick, people believed just because of his presentation. He was so powerful. Your 2 biggest heroes are Orson Welles and Houdini. I love Houdini, yeah, and I love Orson Welles. I also like Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King Jr., and yeah, but those are probably the 4 biggest heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with it? I mean, is it simply your thing as an entertainer?
Yeah, I just want to entertain, just make people smile with it, you know.
You never tell how you do things, do you?
No, I don't think
that's the secret
what it's
of the
about.
business. It's about what? It's about the joy of illusion.
Yeah, well, it's about the moment where people aren't thinking about anything. There's no logic. There's no. You're just only reacting to the moment, and you're stripped away of everything. You're left open. That's what it is, I think.
Now, cards in your hand. This was a new box. I saw you open it, and then I shuffled them a little bit. Cards in your hand are just as comfortable as
smoking cigarettes for cigarette smokers.
Or a basketball player is. Basketball is in Michael Jordan's hand.
No, I love playing with cards.
They're natural for you.
Yeah.
Just show me some things. I mean,
it's just moves, you mean?
Yeah, it's just moves and some ideas about things that you can do.
I just worked on doing moves like this for quite some time, just fans, and you make cards just jump around, and so you could even you see how they switch places like that.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that move so quick that it's invisible. Look, we'll use just this card for now. The 8 of diamonds here. You won't see it jump, but did you see it?
No.
See, it jumps right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how long are you constantly learning new things?
Yeah, I'm continuously working on it.
Now, do you create them, or do you know that some other great illusionist or sleight of hand artist has done it, like Ricky Jay or whoever they might be?
Yeah, well, I take an idea and I either make it my own or whatever I have to do. I mean, magic has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
You know, even 5,000 BC, there's inscriptions on walls of people doing cups and balls. And so I don't think there's any original magic. You can only take something that's good and make it your own.
Yeah. The people you have met. I mean, this is what's extraordinary. We'll move away from the cards for a second. These are the legend stories that have come. You got Spike Lee to do a commercial.
what happened was when I was about 16, I had dreamed of Spike Lee directing my commercials. That was like a dream that I had. And I made a joke about it with a friend on videotape, and he filmed it when I was 16. I was like, Spike, you're going to direct this for me. So one day I saw him on the street, and I was like, hey, Spike, man, I got to show you.
Did you see him on the street,
randomly,
or did you wait for him knowing he was in a building?
No, it was random. I was walking to ICM, actually, and Spike Lee was, and Spike Lee was standing right outside of the building on the other side. I was like, Spike, man, I got to show you one thing. So I started doing magic to him, and his friends came over, and they were all like, oh! And so I told him that eventually I'd love to work with him. And then the ABC deal came together, and I ran into him at the Cannes Film Festival, and I discussed it with him.
Now, why are you at the Cannes Film Festival?
Leo went out there, and he asked me to come with him, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
So I went there, and we just sort of partied a little bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. And then I ran into Spike, and I said, I'd love for you to direct my commercials. I would love that.
Yeah.
And he called me like a week later. And
how about Robert De Niro?
that was another great one. I was at this restaurant, and I had met somebody in the south of France. His name was Wojtek, and he was friends with De Niro.
Yeah.
He used to say, oh, my friend Bob, you remind me of his son. I'd love you to meet him. And I was at a restaurant with Jeff Berg, who's the CEO of ICM.
Right.
And you know, and we were like, oh, there's De Niro. And I was like, oh, I'd love to meet him. And Wojtek, who I didn't realize was sitting next to him, goes, David, come over here. Here's Bob. I was like, whoa. So I walked over there, and I just nervously started doing magic, and his reactions were great. So through that, I got lucky to meet him and befriend him.
David Geffen.
Where was that? Oh, that was at Paul G. Allen's house, the guy that with Bill Gates.
Yeah, that's right. He was a billionaire about 9 or 10 times over.
Some crazy billionaire. He had this huge party at his house in Monte Carlo, I believe. Yeah. And I just started doing magic, and Geffen was the first one to really react and start taking me around.
Now, what is it about you and levitation?
It's just something that I like to do for people. It's I mean, it's based on a logical principle.
Which is?
But it's something I love to do for people, and so I shot it for the show
to show levitation.
In a real way, though. I don't think when you see somebody doing it on a big stage, you immediately assume it's wires.
Yes, exactly.
And mine isn't that. It's pretty much basically what you see.
Now, when you see someone like, say, Copperfield, David Copperfield, is that right, Copperfield?
Yeah, David Copperfield.
Who's had a huge career and makes millions of dollars a year and was on Broadway and is a big star. Do you want to do that in the same way, or do you want to keep yours small, focused, and small?
No, it's not going to stay small. This was step one.
Right.
This is gone next.
Oh,
this is the end of it right
I'm
here.
seeing the
actually.
end. Right? Yeah. So where are you now, in terms of your head, in terms of step? As you leave this,
now I want to start. The next thing I want to do is a big stunt that's going to be shown nationwide on CNN, on every news channel. I don't want it to be part of a magic special. I want it to be real. And then I'm doing a show in the meat locker, in the meat packing district, which is going to be different than any magic show that's ever been shown.
And what's the great stunt you're going to do? I mean, is this a kind of like you're going to leap tall canyons? Or?
It'll be something believable and crazy at the same time.
Now, who is the inspiration for that?
I think Houdini had a way of performing on the streets and gathered large crowds. I mean, he would hang himself in front of a Daily News sign and escape from a straitjacket. Therefore, every reporter from the Daily News would put him on the cover of the Daily News, and tons of people would watch.
Has anybody ever died from these kinds of tricks?
Oh, a lot of people.
Really? Who just didn't make it?
I mean, even stuntmen, like Martin Scorsese had this great stunt guy that worked for him. I forget his name, but, I mean, he was driving the car off of a bridge into the Hudson River and didn't live. And there's, you know, everything has a risk.
Anybody you want to meet that you haven't met, I mean, that are sort of huge in terms of the entertainment business? I mean, you've had these exposures with all these people.
I've kind of, ironically, the weird part of my life is everybody who I ever respected that's alive, I happen to meet.
You have met?
Yeah.
What's next for you?
I'm doing a one-man show in New York, which is an off-Broadway show that's going to be very dark and different than anything. It's like sort of going to use some of P.T. Barnum's ideas and Tom Browning's ideas and be a show that will stun. Yeah.
What are you, about 24?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Great
Charlie.
to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Say hello to Fiona.
I will, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.